What's up rushers, Michael here back on the channel. Today we are breaking down Summoner's War Rush traits. I'm going to share my top trait recommendations for the most important monsters, combining my own experience with insights from some of the top players in the game. To keep things organized, we'll go through each class, first tanks, then melees, followed by ranged and finally utility monsters. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. Let's start with Ariel, a solid tank in Summoner's War Rush. He provides a protective shield effect to all allies, making him a highly reliable frontline unit. When choosing traits for Ariel, consider either crit rate or HP. Personally, if he's consistently surviving longer in battle, go with crit rate to maximize his offensive contribution. However, if he tends to go down early, HP is the safer and more sustainable choice. Moving on to Ophilia, she's an exceptional tank in both PvP and Dragon's Nest, thanks to her powerful Endure Shield effect, which prevents her HP from dropping below 1. This is a life-saving mechanic in clutch situations. For her traits, Evasion is highly recommended. Evasion increases the chance to dodge incoming attacks, helping her avoid damage altogether. This stat is especially valuable in PvP, where she's frequently used. As for the remaining tanks in the class, their traits aren't really impactful and can generally be ignored. Moving on to the melee class in Summoner's War Rush, starting with Jeanne. She is a phenomenal unit in Summoner's War Rush, especially due to her attack speed buff that applies to all allies in the formation. She's considered a must-have monster for many compositions. For her traits, crit rate is highly recommended. As a general rule for high DPS like Jeanne, you want to aim for 40 to 45% base crit rate so that when she's buffed in battle, she can consistently reach 100% crit rate and maximize damage output. Next up is Melissa, another top tier DPS unit. She excels across various game modes largely thanks to her incredible awakening skills, especially the Amplify buff, which increases team damage output significantly. Again, crit rate is the ideal trait. However, if your crit rate already exceeds 100% during battles, consider slotting in crit damage to boost her burst potential. Artamiel is another strong DPS option. His standout contribution is the damage resistant down debuff, which lasts for 10 seconds and greatly enhances team damage. Combined with his own powerful awakenings, he becomes a key damage dealer. My recommended trait for Artamiel is definitely crit rate. Light Monkey King is a decent unit, mostly valued for his defense down debuff, which is vital in many formations. Unfortunately, his raw damage output is lacking. To help improve his effectiveness, definitely go with crit rate again, although his overall DPS may still fall short compared to top tier units. Galleon can deal impressive damage when fully awakened with Devimons, offering great value in late game content. However, he is not viable without those key awakenings. If you plan to invest in him, crit rate is the way to go. Vanessa brings a powerful attack buff to all melee allies for 2 seconds and can also stun enemies, giving her strong crowd control utility. Her role as a support DPS hybrid makes crit rate essential for maximizing her impact. Feng is a highly situational monster. He can shine in specific modes but may underperform in others. Despite the variability, crit rate is still the best option if you are using him. Lapis is a rather underwhelming melee monster. She's mainly used in defense battle and a few niche formations. If you are planning to use her, go ahead with crit rate or attack. It's safe to skip trait investments on her. Mei sees minimal usage in the game and is really only known for being useful in Sky Patrol, it's strongly advised not to spend valuable resources on trait upgrades for Mei. Some unique and hero monsters I want to discuss, first being Vigor. He provides a crit down debuff which can be helpful in specific team setups, so you definitely want to pick up crit rate on him. Aikairu grants an attack buff to all melee monsters, making him valuable in certain guild dungeon boss formations, so again, definitely go with crit rate for him. Bernard is sometimes also used for his attack speed down debuff. For him, you definitely want to go for HP to enhance his survivability. Ophilia is typically used in guild dungeon boss fights due to her cooldown reduction down debuff, which is crucial in that mode, so you definitely want to pick up HP for her. Now discussing the range class in Summoner's War Rush, starting with Sabrina. She is hands down the best monster inside of the entire game. There's little debate around her dominance, she's simply a must-have unit. To maximize her potential, stack as much crit rate on her as possible. Next is Grogen, another outstanding ranged unit. He brings one of the strongest crowd control effects in the game, and with proper investment, his damage becomes exceptional. Crit rate is essential for bringing out his full potential. Cassandra is unique, as she is one of the only monsters that provides a crit rate buff to the entire team. On top of that, she delivers extremely high damage, especially when fully awakened. Investing in crit rate for her is a no-brainer. Charlotte offers one of the best team-wide buffs in the game, cooldown reduction up buff for all ranged allies for 10 seconds. This ability alone makes her a game changer, and if you have all of her awakings, her damage can also be significant. Crit rate is once again the best trait for her. Delphoi brings crush damage up to all ranged allies for 2 seconds, one of the top tier buffs available. She also has a solid crowd control skill and a respectable damage output. To enhance that, go with crit rate. Tesarion evolves from a decent character into a true DPS powerhouse once he's fully awakened with Devilmons. Because of that transformation, crit rate is essential for him. Anavel is another top DPS unit, offering a highly valuable frostbite damage over time effect and a movement speed boost that can help in PvP and farming. Her 7-star awakening skill makes her especially strong. It provides a 10% damage up buff against enemies under frostbite for all allies. Maximize her effectiveness by focusing on crit rate. Laima is one of the best units in the entire game, right behind Sabrina in terms of impact. She's the only unit that applies both root and blind status effects, making her incredibly versatile and disruptive. Stack crit rate to get the most value out of Laima. Shihwa is a consistent performer. Seen in many top formations, she provides one of the most crucial debuffs in the game, movement speed down, which is essential in competitive modes like Guild Dungeon Boss. Prioritize crit rate for her. Alicia is a strong PvP orientated unit found in almost every PvP content area. Her frostbite crowd control effect makes her a key part of many PvP comps, so for that reason alone, crit rate is the optimal trait. Lushen has limited use in the current meta and is widely considered one of the weakest ranged monsters. He's not worth investing in, but if you decide to use him, crit rate is still suitable. Verdehile is outclassed by many of the newer ranged units. It's not recommended to invest in him, though crit rate is acceptable if you are using him casually. I also wanted to touch on unique ranged monsters, starting with Ariel. Ariel is the only monster with a buff removal skill, making him invaluable in guild dungeon boss and defense battles. My recommended trait for Ariel is definitely crit rate. Ceres provides crush damage up buff to all ranged allies, making her a key support DPS hybrid in certain formations. prioritize crit rate for her as well, and grants a crit damage up buff to all ranged allies, boosting overall team DPS. Again, for Anne, crit rate is the go-to trait. Alicia, although she shares the same kit as Anavel, has now been largely replaced due to Anavel's superior scaling and utility. However, if you are using Alicia, crit rate is still the ideal trait. Carly is also useful for applying a defense down debuff, which is always valuable. To enhance her offensive output, definitely go with crit rate. Wrapping up with the utility class, these monsters play a crucial support role in Summoner's War Rush, starting with Rina. Rina is one of the most widely used utility monsters in the game. She provides the attack up buff to all ranged allies, one of the strongest offensive buffs available. Because she appears in nearly every formation, it's a no-brainer to equip her with crit rate to enhance her contribution. Chasun is hands down the best healer in the game. She offers a great heal over time effect to all allies for 5 seconds, which is vital for sustaining your team. Interestingly, due to how heal over time scales, attack is actually the ideal trait for her, as it increases her healing output. Celestia plays a pivotal role in both PvP and defense battle, offering an accuracy buff to all allies for 10 seconds. To further enhance her utility, accuracy is the recommended trait, ensuring her support effects land consistently. Tetra is considered one of the weakest utility monsters in the game. While she has some niche uses, she's generally not worth spending your dice or resources on. However, if you do choose to use her, crit rate is a reasonable trait to boost her limited offensive value. Now discussing some unique utility monsters, starting with Shihwa. Shihwa shines in modes like the Guild Dungeon boss thanks to his ability to remove damage over time effects from allies. While situational, this skill can be game changing, so my recommended traits for Shihwa are crit rate. Chloe is another useful support unit who provides a debuff removal effect from all allies. She's especially effective in cleansing heavy content. For her, you can go with either attack or crit rate, depending how you are using her. That concludes the breakdown of the best traits for each monster class in Summoner's War Rush. Whether you are pushing PvP, farming content, or strategizing for the Guild Dungeon boss, optimizing traits like crit rate, attack, HP, or invasion is essential for getting the most out of your monsters. Keep in mind that while some monsters are core staples in most formations, others shine in specific modes or require heavy investments to reach their full potential. Use your dice wisely, prioritize units that fit your team compositions and playstyle, and always adapt based on your current goals in the game. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave a comment below if this guide helped you out, or if you have any questions or tips of your own to share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.